Hello, I trust that all of you are well, and for those of you who are still at home because of COVID-19, my prayers and thoughts are with you continually. I'm here to talk about issues of stewardship and one or two particular matters that have just arisen and become clearer within the last few weeks. You will have received, perhaps by the time that you're watching this video, this week's First Things, in which I address this issue very briefly, and then you may also by this time have received a fuller description of the issue in a letter that we're sending by mail. And the issue concerns both the budget for this year, 2020, and for next year, 2021. First of all, before I address any of it, I want to thank you sincerely from the bottom of my heart for your generosity. This is an extraordinary congregation, and in the 9 years that I have been here, I have witnessed time and again your willingness to give and to give generously to many different kinds of projects, but more especially your generosity in year-to-year pledging and giving. Normally things run smoothly, but in COVID-19 things don't always run smoothly, and we've become aware right now that it looks as though we are going to come in under budget for this year. Now, we are still going to make a surplus. We do every year, and we always earmark where that surplus is going way back in January in anticipation that the Lord will do what he has always done. The reason for the surplus, despite the shortfall in pledged giving this year, is because we've spent a whole lot less for 7 or 8 months, and it will be more like 10 months by the end of the year. Many of our ministries are just unable to spend their budget on events that they normally would have. And so, despite the fact then that we've fallen short of our budget, or at least it looks as though we're going to fall short of our budget, we are going to make a surplus. Two things arise that I just want to briefly address. One is more of a wish list. The other is more of an urgent need. We've been in the bridge now for 4 years. The total cost of it was around 8 million. We are now down purchasing it and renovating it and so on, and pledges were made, and we're on track to pay that off. We're about 400,000 from paying that off, and because a part of that involves the budget for next year, it would just be wonderful if we could pay that off sooner rather than later. And so I'm asking you on behalf of the church generally, if you have a pledge for the bridge and you could find your way to paying that off, that would relieve things a great deal for next year. There may also be new members who have joined since 2016 when we moved into the bridge, and you may like to contribute towards paying that off. It's just a wonderful building. We love it, and at least pre-COVID, it was just wonderful to see members of the church come in to the coffee shop, and it was just a great place to meet up and have fellowship. Now, for 2021, I won't go into technicalities, but budgeting for next year is usually based on the budget of this year. So speaking very simply, we typically just take this year's budget and add whatever, 2-3%, and so on. But we are coming in short to this year's budget. So next year's budget, which has already been made, is now in some difficulty. And the bottom line is that unless we can find $600,000 in pledging for next year, we're going to have to cut some parts of ministry allocations for 2021. The process whereby we balance the budget to projected giving involves a reconciliation process, and in the last number of years that has gone wonderfully smoothly because basically we didn't need to reconcile. But this year, unless we can make $600,000, we are going to need at the end of this month to have a reconciliation process. I'm making this video and writing to you as your senior minister. It's one of the greatest privileges of my life to be your senior minister. I can't imagine any other church where I would be happier than I am here. And I'm asking you, first of all, to pray about these two items, paying off the bridge loan and meeting what we thought was the projected budget for next year. As you can see, we've only got a few weeks in order to do this, and therefore there is some urgency about it. I'm absolutely confident that the Lord is able to do exceeding abundantly above all that we ask or think. I think that coming back from COVID is going to involve a great deal of effort on the part of almost every ministry that we've got in the church. We've learned rhythms forced upon us by COVID that may be difficult to undo. And so getting back to where we were a year ago might take some time, but it'll also involve expenditures, I think, in every branch of ministry to make the experience of worship and the experience of being a member of First Presbyterian Church what it should be. I reach out to you in faith and love that you will prayerfully consider these matters. We love you. We're praying for you constantly. Thank you for listening.